All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the Copado session today. We're going to go over to how to establish an entire release management process in the SalesForce platform by using the Copado solutions. My name is David Venegas, and I'm a product manager in Copado. So the agenda that we have for today is we're going to go over why did we build Copado and what benefits it can bring you. We're going to also go over a demo of the tool and what new features are coming up. So let's go with the first point. Why Copado? Well, first of all, we believe that features don't add any value in a sandbox. We believe that features should go to production as fast as possible, but also with the highest quality as possible. We believe also that developers and admins should love building apps on the platform and not focus on complexity of deploying changes, but actually doing innovation and bringing great solutions. And we believe that people shouldn't work overtime, even during releases. So how can Copado help me with this? Well, first of all, we provide you a comprehensive process from feature release. And then we provide you, besides the release management, automation testing, and also compliance checks. We provide you a governance framework that allows you to guarantee security and traceability during the entire change management process. Okay, so we enable DevOps capabilities in the platform, and we let you manage your end-to-end releases from the development environments all the way to production. And because we're on the Salesforce platform, you can customize your release process by leveraging Salesforce approvals, workflows, triggers, and process builders. We have over 18,000 users, and we are in more than 100 customers in more than 5 countries. Now, let's go ahead and look what the Copado application can do for you. All right, so the first step while working with Copado is to establish your org and branch strategy. In this flow, you can see I have many environments, in this case, development environments, linked to integration, then to a testing environment, and then to production. You can see that there's a Git branch for each environment that you have. Yeah, thank you. So you can see I have a Git branch for every environment. Hello, can you hear me? Perfect. So you can see that I have a Git branch for every environment in your flow that Copado will use to track the changes as you deploy your metadata from one environment to another. The way work is split is in user stories that you can import automatically from Jira or other agile software, or you can create directly in Copado and use Copado as your own agile software as well. In the user story, as an admin or developer, all I need to do is select the metadata components that I modified for this requirement. This is after I've done my changes in my sandbox. So I can easily commit my metadata components from the Salesforce UI by selecting the components that I modified. This can be configuration components, like objects and fields, and this can be code and Lightning components as well. So once I select my components and commit them, Copado takes care of the Git operations in the back, creating a branch for this requirement or this user story, and committing the metadata components in version control. So once you have committed your components, on top of this, you can ensure that quality is being met by doing validations. So for example, in the user story, I can run Apex test of the test classes of this user story, and the results are saved in its fields. Also, I can do a validation deployment so that as an admin or developer, I can validate that data is all right. So validate that my metadata is able to be successfully deployed to the next environment. So if the validation deployment is successful, you will get a successful status here. Now, why is this important? Well, because you're using a release management process, you can do validation checks or approval processes that validate, okay, is my metadata deployable? Yes. If I have Apex code, is the coverage above the minimum? In this case, yes. But I see I have a failing method. So you can automatically reject this user story from moving to the next environment because of these validations that you're doing. Besides Apex and validation deployments, We also have static code analysis, so you can scan your code for best practices. We also have compliance scan to check that your metadata changes are compliant. And also, we have automated testing with Selenium. As you can see in my user story, you will have your static code analysis results, automated testing with Selenium. You can keep track of who has manually tested this requirement in different environments. So the user acceptance testers, business users, they can register in the user story that they have tested it. Also, we have overlap awareness. So Copado will let you know if there is a potential conflict, meaning someone else is also modifying the same component in another user story or in another sandbox. And as you verify that you have met all these quality gates, then you can have an approval process, submit for approval. Your release manager reviews the user story, checks that the changes are compliant, checks that best practices are being met. And you can also have pull request process in your Git repository for enforcing code reviews on code changes as well. So once your user story is deployed to the next environment, integration, Copado allows you to back deploy those changes into other sandboxes so that you keep them in sync. So if I'm working on this Dev3 sandbox, I can click on this backward arrow, and I can see what changes I can back deploy. These are user stories that have arrived to integration environment, but I haven't back deployed them into my sandbox. So Copado gives me the visibility to select these and back deploy them. And before I do so, I can even check which specific metadata components will be back deployed. In this case, you can see that I have some triggers, classes, and this can be objects, fields, etc. And this will be created, but you can also have components that will be updated. And with the Show Differences link, you can even compare side by side how your components will be updated. Just as you can back deploy changes from integration into your dev sandboxes, Copado allows you to also back deploy changes from hotfix environment that was deployed to production, or if you had a change done in production directly, you just need to create a user story in production, commit your hotfix change, and then back deploy into all your lower environments to keep them updated. Now, Copado, as I mentioned at the beginning, is also an agile software. So you can manage your sprints, and you can manage also epics, themes, and all your agile activity within Copado. As you can see, I have a sprint wall with my different user stories, and I can easily update them and also move them from one sprint to another and keep track of the tasks that are being done. So as a developer, I can filter for my user and see how I am doing with my user stories in the current sprint. We also have the work manager that allows you to update user story across different settings. Like for example, I have here user stories of a specific release, and I can easily drag and drop it in my sprint, for example. So now this user story will be available in the current sprint. And I can also update user story statuses by drag and dropping between my different panels in my work manager. Now, we mentioned at the beginning, there is automated regression testing that you can introduce in your release management process. This is a seamless process with Copado with the Selenium application. Let's say, for example, that you want to record your business process that goes from account creation to opportunity, creating a contract, and sending that to a customer. So you can easily start recording with our Chrome extension. As you can see, I'm going to go ahead and click the recording button. And now I'm in the account process. So this would be a simple example. So I'm going to start creating a new account record. Let's wait for the page. So as I am typing, selecting, and clicking values here on the UI, the Copado application is tracking these values. So let's go ahead and save. If I go back to my recorder, you can see that Copado automatically created the script for this automated test. First of all, we were in the accounts list. Then we clicked the new button, and then we started entering these values, the account name, what is the rating, the website, and then we clicked the save button. And all these values are in a spreadsheet-like grid, so you can update the values after you have recorded your test. Now,
in a test, you want to verify things. So for example, I can verify that this title is present in this page. So as you can see, not only we have Copado friendly field locators for your Salesforce fields, as you can see, but you can also reference items in the UI with the CSS, DOM, or XPath, for example. This way, you can build large Selenium tests without having to do programming. The Copado recorder can detect these changes for you. Once you have all these tests recorded, you can just run them in your different environments to detect if there are any new changes that are disrupting your business processes. So in the flow, you can run your tests in production, UAT, integration. So if they start failing in integration, most probably a new deployment has affected a business process, and you need to check what's going on. Now also, in Copado, we provide you automated compliance checks so that instead of waiting for your changes to be accumulated in UAT and then the compliance department coming and saying, well, your changes are not compliant, you need to do some fixes, we can detect if changes are out of compliance at the development stage. So for that, you can simply create a set of rules that will be automatically enforced whenever developers commit metadata changes or you try to deploy some metadata changes that are out of compliance. For example, a simple rule can be the VO data permission should only be in the admin profile. So to build this rule, it's just like building a list view. So you can say any profile that is not the admin profile, but has the VO data permission enabled, then I want this rule to apply. And you can tell Copado, OK, show a warning to the user that has done this change, or block an operation. An operation can be a commit or a deployment. So once you have this set of rules, you can run them, for example, in production every hour in case someone changes a value that is out of compliance in production. And you can even enforce it in your development stage and testing and integration stage. And then if you have any findings, this is a findings. You can see that my VO data permission is enabled in 2 profiles that are not the admin profiles. So I know this incident, and I can follow up on it. Now, since Copado is built on the Salesforce platform, you can leverage the reports and dashboards capabilities of Salesforce. All the Copado objects are Salesforce objects. So you can keep track and monitor your entire change management and release management activity, your automated tests, manual tests, deployment activity, compliance activity. You can have it all with the Salesforce dashboard. Now, something that is new is the DX technology. You can leverage it with Copado as well. As you can see in this flow, I have some standard sandboxes for development, but I also have a Scratch org in here. So how does this work? Well, with Copado, we give you a complete DX layer on top of the DX technology. So your users don't need to know CLI or DX technology itself. Copado will handle the hard or complex DX capabilities behind the scenes. So, for example, in the UI, you can manage your artifacts. You can split your metadata components in different artifacts, so you can start working with those. Now, an artifact is an object in Copado, and when you create one, you can select components that will belong to this artifact specifically. Here I have a sales artifact, and you can see I have some objects and fields and components that belong to that are sales related. This means that these components are locked for this artifact. If I try to create another one, I won't be able to select these values because these are specific to this artifact. Then in my user stories, I can create a Scratch org. As you can see in the user story, I have a Scratch org wizard. And while creating a Scratch org for this requirement, I can have pre-configured templates that will define how the Scratch org will be created. It will have which features should be allowed and which preferences should be allowed as well. Then I can select which metadata to load in my Scratch org. This can come from an artifact, also from a package, another branch, or even another org. So this way, you can leverage the power of DX with the within the Salesforce platform. Now, once my Scratch org has been created, I can see the details of this Scratch org within the UI. I can open the Scratch org as well, and I can delete it. And you can see that there are many other functionalities that you can do leveraging the DX application behind the scenes. Now, going back, in your flow, you can combine normal sandboxes with as many scratch orgs as you need. So this way, we are bridging the gap, the learning curve of DX, and you can start introducing your team members into using scratch orgs to release new features. So we're releasing new features in the next 2 weeks. And these features include online conflict resolution with Git. So we're tightening our Git integration. We're also having advanced Git operations like destructive changes, recommitting files, undoing commits, and committing full profiles and permission sets. We can also allow you to automatically tag your releases in Git. And as I shown in this demo, the Copado DX application. And we have the Academy platform that your team members can get certified on the Copado application in different levels. Certified as a developer, Copado admin, Copado release manager. And we also have the Velocity integration that we're launching, where you can commit and deploy Velocity metadata along with your SalesForce metadata. So Copado behind the scenes will manage the complexity or the technology of Velocity to deploy it without you having to go and learn that technology yourself. Copado will handle it for you. Copado, we're participating in many events in the next month. So you can come and visit us in Boston, New York, Toronto, Dreamland, Barcelona, London, Paris, and in the Midwest Dreaming in Chicago. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'll be here to answer them.
I see that Copado's integration with the account table while you made the changes. How we define that changes? Integration of the Copado with the objects.
Right. So when developers work on the changes, they select them and commit them into Git. Would that answer your question? No. Can you repeat?
Yeah. I mean, I was seeing that when we added the Messi as a client, and you can see the script, there would be some kind of integration between the objects and the Copado tool where we define that.
Which objects?
The account object.
Right. So Copado just needs to be installed in your main org, and from there you integrate to all your other environments. Now, this integration is at the artifact level. So when you select components, then those are the only ones you can modify in your Scratch org. So when you commit the changes from the Scratch org, it will only let you commit those components that were defined in the artifact level. Yeah.
In terms of the automating of the scripts, do you have any guidelines around how much or what things you should be really creating automated scripts for?
Yes, so you want to make sure that your business processes, your end users, are not interrupted with new deployments. So you want to focus on the core processes that bring money and value to your company, so that your sales reps, business reps, or your end users, you can record exactly the actions that they do in the order that they do it. So like, for example, if a new deployment removes a permission, if you have this automated test that's doing this process every hour, for example, then in the layout it cannot find a specific field that is important for your process, then you would notice, oh, this permission was removed. And so that this will help you troubleshoot that. Yeah, or if that new change that was introduced is a valid new change, then you know, okay, now I need to train my end users, my sales rep, that they don't longer need to use that field. Yeah. All right, so we're good. If you have any other questions, you can meet us at the booth. We're over here right in front of the Waterfall Theater, and we'll be here as well. So if you have any questions, just reach us. Thank you very much.